Hello, it's Rade. I'm happy to tell you about Commodore behind the Iron Curtain. This is seminar about things that should be close for you living in Hungary, because in communism time it was quite difficult to obtain computers, obtain contacts, and so on. We had slight delay due to hardware malfunctions, but this is the usual case if you do things spontaneously, whatever. You know, in ITs, such special photo has been captured. It's Kino Theater in Poland, Moskva, you know, Moscow. And a movie was aired. Czas apocalypse, that means time of apocalypse, whatever. And there is a armored vehicle because it was time of, you know, in 1981, 82, it was quite probable that Russian or Eastern Bloc countries' army will invade Poland due to difficult political situation. Just to tell you what difficult time it was. Why I am here and what for? So this is me about 25 years ago, maybe even a little bit younger I was than I think, and just 3 years ago. So Commodore is my life, you know. I own Commodore since 1995. I was 9 years old at that time, and Commodore is still with me. And here, this year, I somewhat celebrate that this is 20 years of demo scene in my life. Danger advertisement. There is a game about 80s, set up in 80s in Poland during development. This is the title screen. The game is called Kiełbasa. It's sausage in Poland, Polish. I know in Hungary you also like kiełbasa, so this game might interest you. The game is set up in 80s and there are some quests, some kind of farming, and so on. I am helping guys with this game in matter of technical stuff, because the game will be released on cartridge, and I hope I will be producing those cartridges, but we will see. This is a beautiful graphic that someone of you made for me when I was announced as sponsor of AROK, and I will also sponsor prizes on AROK this year. And if you want something for Commodore, then you can just ask me. I have some stuff for you here as well. Okay, stop that advertisement and so on. Let's go to the proper things. So, I think that in ITs you also had some computer markets, but not shops like today, but just a place where people gathered. There were maybe tables and so on, and you could buy, sell. Nevertheless, you were a company, small business, big business, or just an individual person. Here you see ad with Amiga, gry, użytki dema, that means games, productive software, and of course demonstrations. In the back there is JTT, that company was quite strong in Poland, and even such big computer-related businesses did show up on such markets, but this was 80s. Now you go to iSpot or iShop to buy Apple, and at that time you had to go to the market. And I wonder if in Hungary you also had such difficult problem with inflation. Because in half of 80s, minimal salary was like 5,000 zloty, and you had to save all your salary for 18 months to buy just a Spectrum. And in 1992, when Commodore, actually in 1992, Commodore entered Polish market officially. There was no official distribution before that. You could just buy 2.5 Spectrum for one salary, but on the other hand, just in 7 years, minimal salary was over 1.5 million zloty. It's very difficult to think about that from today's standpoint. And Commodore 64 in 1985 was about 500,000 zloty, and later on it was like 4 times more. So effectively those computers were rapidly losing their value, but it was still quite expensive to buy. I believe it was similar case with computers in Hungary, but I don't know how about inflation. Later on you can tell me. This is typical 80s market as well. This photo is good because it's made by someone professional. Not much to add here. I think you don't have idea who is this guy. So I need to tell you. This guy is Tchaikovsky, but not that musician, famous musician Tchaikovsky. I forgot his name, whatever, it's not that important. He had just this sweater when he was walking on the market. He made shitload of pirate cassettes for Commodore 64 in Poland. I think he easily made at least 1 million of them. He had the distribution all over Poland. There is a quite detailed interview with him. His name is Waldemar, I just recalled. Waldemar Tchaikovsky. If you are interested, that interview is also translated to English, so I can share you that information. This is typical bad photo from the era. There is one interesting thing. I have mouse, so I can point you out. VCF, that's World Cracking Federation, some pseudo crackers from Poland. You know, they only attach it intro to cracks made by someone else. They hardly ever done any real cracks. But yeah, this is usual bad photo from the market, computer market from the era. I just can add that many of the such markets were held in schools on weekends. Not only big marketplaces. Here is typical repair or adjustment made on the site. When I was younger, I've seen similar things on Polish markets because there were modifications for PlayStations installed in similar way. You went to the market and on-site modifications of repair were carried out. Another photo, not much to add. Just Commodore +4. Another photo from market. And another one. You can see Polish TV in the center of the photo. TV or monitor. Because both flavors were available. This is typical Polish pirate cassette. Actually, I wanted to visit guys who made this cassette because the company was living on after the fall of Commodore, Amiga and so on. But unfortunately, before I wanted actually to visit them. They collapsed quite recently. Did you have in Hungary also pseudo crackers with intro makers? Robert King from Warsaw, he did sell quite the games starting like 87 or 88 in Warsaw. I even have, I would need to tell original, but of course they are pirates, but they are original source of Robert King cassettes. I have them, even few. Another pirate cassette, but this time inlet is colorful. You know, the quality of pirates increased over time. Black market contact node, yeah. Lifter or Pumex. Lifter and Pumex actually are the same person. Worst contact node you can ever see, yeah, right? Inverted characters and raster bars on the background. That guy is still alive and he did show up recently, but I can't provide you with details because I don't know them, whatever. And here you have Pornhub of the era. This is also a cassette I own, I will probably have it here. And quite extensive instructions how to load the stuff is here. Whatever. I doubt you know who is this guy, but he is very famous Polish musician, Czesław Niemen. Next slides will be about music, because actually even the access to those computers were very limited. Actually, musicians in Poland did use those computers, and this is unbelievable nice studio where Commodore 64 with disk drive and another model of Polish built screen is running Steinberg Pro 16 and it does control MIDI over the studio. This is VIC-20 and Commodore 16 used in music video for Ucieczka z Tropiku or Escape from Tropics or Escape from Tropic Zone. I don't know if you know Marek Biliński, he is very famous Polish, so yeah. Guy from Polish must know him, but I don't know if Hungarian people are aware who Marek Biliński is. However, he is called in Poland Polish Jar, or whatever, you know, that French musician. Those computers are used here only for the music video. But this is another case. Here is Sławomir Wasowski and Combi Band. I also hope you know that band, but here is another installment of Steinberg Pro 16 on stage. It was used to control drums when the band was without a drummer in the second half of the 80s. And this is another type of screen built in Poland. In Poland we didn't have many models of computers and everything was mostly unlicensed copy or just stolen. But TVs were quite huge variety. And Sławomir Wasowski is still alive and he is still making music since like 40 years. He is in his studio just a few years ago, and despite the title of the seminar is Commodore behind Iron Curtain, we will not be only looking at Commodore. There is Atari ST, quite modernized, and he used Atari ST alongside his Mac computer to this day. Every day in studio is carried by Atari ST. just a jump into Polish pioneer groups, not only demo scene, but crack scene, and those blew in the intro from Intro Maker as well. If you are interested in roots of Polish demo scene and not only demo scene, those grabs are a must. There are also another grabs from groups from this era like Arise and Elysium, but Arise did release stuff a little bit later actually, and Elysium is actually considered to be on this list too. Whatever. Let's go. Let's go. Do you know this computer? The screen is what I presented just in like 2 slides ago, but this computer is Polish clone of ZX Spectrum with different ROM. It was made for education. It was not sold to private persons, and for this reason it was built only like 15,000 units of this computer in 4 or 5 years, something like that. At some point I owned one, but I sold it when I was stupid, say stupid. Now it is very rare machine and it's quite difficult to gain one, but not impossible. And monitor version of that Neptune TV or monitor is in the background. If somebody attended this year Forever demo party in Slovakia, then actually there was 1 or 2 of them. Well, 2 of them because guys set up what was one of the key points of that clone. Actually there is a simple network called JUNet, because the computer is called Elvro 800 Junior, and there was a JUNet, and they connected computers. This allowed to share resources like printer, disk drive, and so on. Typical setup was like 1 computer with disk drive and few computers for students, pupils, or whatever you call them. But there is another story behind this computer. It actually, it's not like computer comes from this musical instrument, but the case comes from this musical instrument. You can see it is lying flat here, but the stand for notes is even on the computer. They could trick you that this is for books, but actually it's the leftover from the musical instrument. Here is another clone, Polish clone. This is Polish TRS-80 Dragon, American computer, full setup, with tape, disk drive, and another time that Neptune screen. Actually, I didn't see disk drive for this machine live every single time in my life, but I've seen those computers even in operation. Very rare, very rare. It was built for a few years, like 3,000 or 4,000 units. The socialism is very efficient system, right? Actually, it would be much better if they just tried to license an Apple or Commodore computer, but instead they made very low volume production of computers which were outdated anyway. And this photo is taken by me, actually, and you can see the paint is scrapped, and here you see there is wood in the case. The case of this computer is wooden. At least partially wooden. Elvro is made of plastic. Okay, let's go to LDW. It's another case in 80s in Poland, and I believe it was the same on Hungary. Actually, if you bought any computer, there was no distribution, no official warranty service, and so on and so on. People mostly brought computers from Western countries. In Poland, we had like Germany was close, and I believe that in Hungary you had Austria quite close, and I think it was the same that from Western countries computers were imported by individuals and so on. In Poland, actually, I don't know if it worked the same in Hungary. Later on you need to tell me. But in Poland you couldn't own dollars by your own or Deutschmarks and so on. So if you earned money in the Western countries, you had some kind of bond, talon, a paper with value written, but it was equivalent of actual amount of money in the hard currency. And you could go to the special shop where you could buy computer for $1. But in Poland it was also difficult because the only official distribution of computer, first one, was set up by Lucian Daniel Wenzel, hence the logical design words from his initials. And he set up Atari distribution in Poland with warranty, with repairs, with software distribution and so on and so on. It quickly made Atari the most common computer in Poland. And to this day, Karen as a trademark is living in Poland. If you go to karen.pl, it's still alive, just a side note. And Lucian was quite proficient businessman because he set California Dreams game development group in Poland, which made games for the Western, mostly American market. Do you know California Dreams? Somebody shakes their heads, but if you don't know California Dreams, then you should know games like Street Road and Blockout, two most famous titles from California Dreams. And this was made by guys in Poland for silly money. Lucian take money out of Polish labor, and the game spread all over the world. It collapsed around 1991, 1992, when he thought that he can't make money from it anymore. Just a few screenshots from the game, if you maybe don't recall the name, but if somebody played Street Road once, I believe that this game is unforgettable. Blockout is also... I don't have screenshot of Blockout here, whatever. Blackout is also quite interesting game, but Street Road is unforgettable. It's certainly better game than, say, Test Drive. Okay. Well, last year I did tell you about cartridges developed in Poland, I think. And this would be a little bit of repetition. Out of curiosity, did people in Hungary develop any basic dialect here locally? Or some kind of huge extension like Simon's Basic or something like that? You don't seem to tell me yes or no. Okay. So let's stick to the Warsaw Basic. Everybody knows Simon's Basic and that Super Expander, which was developed from the same expansion for VIC-20. And after analyzing those cartridges, people in Poland, professor of mathematics today, started to develop a dialect of BASIC that could make Commodore usable for professional calculations and scientific work on universities. So Warsaw Basic introduced procedures, structural programming, local variables, common variable block, or global variables you could call it, dynamic loading of libraries from disk and tape similar to overlays from all those days before memory expansions were mature. Mathematic aid, like complex numbers, and I don't recommend them also, okay? You could also easily graph a plot A disk turbo was added and turbo tape as well. And strong emphasis was put on adding printer support with Polish national characters. At some show on where they compared Commodore with so-called professional computers, they managed to make a printout from Commodore with Polish characters, and professional considered computer couldn't do that. They couldn't output Polish characters. And formatted print, you know, that printf C style was also made here, as well as interpreting BASIC from string. You could make a string of a chain string of BASIC commands, and you can run it from Warsaw BASIC as well. Inside it was a typical cartridge, but here you see the PCB was made by professional factory, because there are, you know, those vias, connection between top and bottom made professionally with metal pipes and so on. No solder mask, but it was professionally made, probably in the same factory as PCBs for Polish cars, you know, dashboard were made. Max.pl is just a limited version of Warsaw BASIC, and it was included in box for every Commodore 64 sold when official Commodore distribution was set up in Poland in 1992. There I play in games. Wizard of War, I see. I'm not so surprised that they are that excited. Very good game. Okay. So, Max.pl is just stripped down, hugely stripped down Warsaw BASIC with 4 games included. There is another story with that. ISR group, also BIW, that's Biuro Informatyczno-Wydawnicze, it would be IT publishing something, whatever. I also thought about those cartridges on past AROK, just cartridges for turbo tape. For many in Poland, those cartridges defined Commodore. Even if there is some aid for basic programming, people mostly were interested only in head azimuth adjustment and turbo tape. And this intro in that cartridge made also with Intro Maker. Genesis project Intro Maker was used, and music is from Aero 1D1 game by Antoni Trotter. And in Poland, this intro and that music is cult status because of this cartridge. And so on. Some variations and so on, because I thought about that in the past. I'm not eager into going into details, but if you want to hear something more about this cartridge, then I can introduce you. Just tell me, because I'm for you. I don't see yes or no. This is another interesting story in Polish stuff for Commodore behind Iron Curtain. However, it is a little bit late, because it's like 1992 when the Iron Curtain fell. But here you see that this cartridge was protected from copying. It was the last installment of Black Box series. There is gate array logic chip instead of TTL chips. And you simply cannot just copy it by buying chips from the shop, like here, and dumping the memory and programming equivalent memory chip. you need to know what is inside this great array chip. And this made this cartridge not cloned until maybe last year. Actually, it is very rare cartridge and not very useful. But just a side note. More or less, it is the end, but I am open for your questions, and I also could tell something more if you only want to know about something that I might share with you, but I didn't thought about that. So I'm open for your questions, if there is any. I will go to the edge here, and if someone wants to ask me, then please come to me. Oh, no questions. That's good. When I was speaking about that stuff on X Party, like 7 weeks ago, it was like I was talking for half an hour and another half of hour questions and answer sessions. Whatever. So we are done, I think. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can compare what was going on in Poland and Hungary, and that you like it. And I'm open also for private questions. So, thank you.